Hello, guys. Welcome back to the Uncensored Critic podcast. Thank you, as always, for tuning in. It means a lot to me. Thank you so very much. And today we welcome along another brilliant actor and writer by the name of Katie Louisa Morgan. And let's take a moment to introduce Katie right now. So for film, she has appeared in things like Burlesque Fairy Tales and Animal Charm. For TV, The Cut. And for stage, Caviar and Chips at the Soho Theatre and National Tour. Two Tales at the King's Head, Uncle Vanya at the Theatre Nomad, and 3 appearances with the Factory Theatre Company, Hamlet, the Seagull, and the Odyssey. And most recently, in December of this past year, she appeared in her own one-woman show called Fox, written, of course, by herself, which first premiered at the Edinburgh Fringe back in 2000, and I've got my dates here, 2019, followed by a UK tour, as well as a recent run at the Park Theatre in Islington this past December, directed, of course, by, I'm going to say her name wrong, Lisa
Cagnacci.
Cagnacci, thank you, Lisa Cagnacci. And and it's a beautiful play about motherhood and those actually not even early months, those early days and weeks of what it's like to carry a young child into your life as a mother. But more on that in just a moment. Katie, welcome.
Hi. Thank you very much.
How are you?
I'm very good, thank you. Yeah, excited to be here.
Yeah, no, it's a pleasure to have you. Thank you. Actually, I forgot to ask, did you go to drama school?
I did, yeah. So my journey was that first I did university. I did a drama degree at Goldsmiths,
Nice.
followed by a postgrad at East 15, followed by a couple of months at École Gaulier.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Yes, we'll ask you about that in just a second. Yeah. So, but we start with at the beginning with every guest. So, in your case, Katie, where did it come from? The love of acting, writing, the arts? Where did it come from?
Well, I guess first and foremost, it came from my dad, because he worked in film. He was a camera operator for feature films. And he did a lot of big projects. He did Harry Potter, Game of Thrones, all of that. And so it seemed like a very normal job to me. You know, he would travel around the world, and sometimes we would go with him and be on set and be around all these, you know, people in the industry. And it felt like, oh, okay, this is a normal job that people do. I love acting. I love performing. So that's what I'll do. And I pursued a very linear pathway to that. I did it at school. I did it, you know, GCSE and A level. I did it outside of school at theatre groups and stuff. And then, university drama school and other bits and bobs. And then, realised it wasn't quite the easiest and normal of jobs to have. So I also trained as a teacher at Central, an acting teacher, and then started coaching actors alongside. And I've done the same 2 things ever since.
Fantastic.
And it's still my absolute passion.
Yeah. So let's go. So your experience at Goldsmiths, we'll start with that one, then we'll go on to East 15. How was your time at university?
My time at university was really good. I think I had a little bit of me wished I was at drama school, where it was a bit more of the practical element. It was probably about 60-40 at Goldsmiths. And there were some really amazing people in my year. I had Dennis Kelly in my year, the writer, really great creatives in all different fields. So we had a nice broad sort of overview, and it was quite academic, which at the time suited me very well, with a practical element. But it just showed me that I wanted to carry on and go to drama school as well. But yeah, it was great. I loved it there. Yeah,
fantastic. And then, of course, you went to East 15 as well. How was your time there?
It was good. It was really exhausting. My overriding memory is exhaustion, because we would start at 9 and finish at 6, 7 every day. But, you know, that's absolutely what I signed up for. And I loved every minute of it, and mourned it when it was over. So, great.
Oh, no, absolutely. Yeah, no, I had the same experience at university. I thought it was too academic and not too much practical stuff. And, you know, thankfully, I think the whole experience was kind of saved by my 3rd year, because we devised this big scale production, this brand new auditorium which they built apparently just for us, I think, so or something like
nice.
that. It's still there now ever since. It's called the Edinburgh Centre for the Creative Arts. They get people around from the local Falmer, Brighton area to sort of all come in and stuff. So I went to the University of Sussex, which was really cool. And so we got to do, like, I think we were the first Seagull Honours student production in there or something, which was very cool. So yeah, we enjoyed it. We made the most of it. Yeah. But what would you say was like the difference between yourself on the first day of university to the last day of drama school? What would you say was the biggest difference between both versions of yourself?
That's a very interesting question. I think I was fairly immature throughout the entire time.
Oh, really?
I think looking back now, and I work with actors at drama school now, and I just think I didn't come into my own till much later. And probably for me, the most formative aspects of my development as an actor came after both of those things. So I definitely left with more knowledge and more experience, but as an actor and a human, I don't think I was fully formed by either at that point.
No, it's interesting. Like it is a process the whole time. You never know where you're gonna end up, and you look back on the last day, say 3, 4, 5 years later, and you think to yourself, bloody hell. And think, I thought I knew everything at 18. No, I knew very, very little. But all the same, that's what life's all about, isn't it?
Yeah.
So I'm just before we get onto your play, which we'll come to in a second. So Caviar and Chips, what's that show all about?
Oh, that was a wonderful comedy that I was involved in quite a long time ago, but it was devised with 2 other girls who had gone to East 15, but not at the same time as me. And they kind of brought me in to replace somebody, and then we re-devised it. And it was absolutely hilarious. Probably the funniest thing I've ever been involved in. And we toured around, actually. We spent a month, maybe more than a month, in Bruges, as well as performing in London.
Wow.
And that was interesting. That was really good as well. Because it was a lot of physical comedy, and it seemed to translate quite easily, even if people weren't, native English speakers.
Yeah. Was it kind of like a satire on like the upper classes and stuff, or is it?
No, it was 3 female characters, young girls. It was mainly about friendship, but it was really well done. We sort of played multiple roles within it. And we just had a good time. It was just a lot of laughs for us and for the audience.
Oh, definitely. Yeah. If you're having a good time, they're having a good time. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What's your relationship like with devising? Because when I first started doing it, I absolutely hated it. Whereas now I've sort of thought, like with that big project we did at university, I thought, okay, well, I suppose there's some advantages to this, but then, and obviously it's a tedious creative process. Like you're literally looking at a blank piece of paper and you're going, how do we create a bowerbird through movement, and how can we add text to it? And you're going, I have no fucking idea. How do we do that? Well, maybe, all right, we do an impression of a bird. Okay, no, that's what 3-year-olds do at parties. It's like, and you're like, what's your experience of that? Do you like devising?
Love it.
You do love it.
I love it. My dream would just be to be in a rehearsal room with actors and just create and devise.
Okay.
I work much better that way than kind of sitting down at a computer or with a piece of paper and trying to write something. I mean, it's a miracle how I wrote my play, because it's not my way of working. I don't work well alone. I work well collaboratively and creatively. So devising for me is
spot on. Yeah. I know, one of the few people. No, I was lucky enough to interview some people from the show Monster Calls that was on at the Old Vic back in 2018. Did you see it?
Yeah,
you saw it?
Yeah.
My God, I blew it. Don't get me started. We'll talk about that rather than your play today.
It was lovely.
But no, I saw it 3 times in the cinema, in the theatre, and God, and that was all devised as well, because it was an original book from Patrick Ness and Monster Calls. I've had some people on here talking about it, and the fact I remember talking to Stu Godwin, whatever his name. Sorry, Stu, if you're listening, and about just the process of devising. And I think I asked him, would you recommend devising to any actor out there, no matter what age they are? And he said, yes, absolutely, you should do it. Of course, definitely. If you're working with someone creative like Sally Cookson, who was the director, I don't know if you've crossed paths with her at all.
No.
But but when you achieve something like that and you look back on it and you go, well, we actually created this from scratch, literally from nothing. I mean, what was it with your show Caviar and Chips, when you saw it back? Knowing that there's quite a satisfying feeling, isn't it?
Yeah, really satisfying. And I've since devised a lot of work, both in my acting and teaching. And it's beautiful because it exists as its own thing that came, like you say, from nothing, or from a tiny little piece of inspiration, or some kind of catalyst, like a poem or whatever it may be that you use as a starting point. And I love that, because you've got to use your imagination. And I think people don't do that enough these days.
Yeah. So where did the title come from? Caviar and chips?
Oh, that was already in place before I came on board. So I don't know.
It was already there. There's no discussion whatsoever. No. No, it's brilliant. But anyway, Katie, let's jump into the main body of today, which of course is your play, Fox, which and thank you again for sending it over, by the way. I've had a chance to read it and everything. So yeah, that's very nice of you to do that. It's a really, really beautiful play. And I'm not saying that because you're here. And we were talking before we came on, it's not, you want to stress that it's not based on your personal experience of this. This is not autobiographical in any way. But the fact you're able to capture something really visceral and very, very real, and it's not from your own story or not semi-autobiographical in any way. This is really, really a feat, and I congratulate you for that.
Thank you.
So the play is, we see a character. It's called Mum, and it's the very early stages of being a mum, and it's getting used to having a very, very little extra soul or child in the household, and it's a big adjustment shift. She's at home 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, and the husband is not there. He's either traveling, he's for work, or he's in the office, and she finds herself very much in this bubble of just her in the house. And I think it's a good piece about how isolation can affect us in a way, and particularly you can connect it to these times now with social media and everything. They say they've created all these apps to say we want to connect people more than ever. It's so easy to stay in touch with people now, but actually it's having the reverse thing. It's actually making more and more people more antisocial and more isolated because they live on their phones and like this notification and dopamine hits, etc. But it's a really interesting, and we're going to touch on anyone who is interested in seeing the play. We will touch on some spoilers today, guys, so just letting you know now. So if you don't want to hear anything, just click off, come back when you've seen it, or stay, whatever you want to do. So tell me about the first, because I know you first wrote it in 2018, and of course it first performed in 2019, as I mentioned in the intro. So where did this play come from? Okay, so
although it's not autobiographical, there are some elements that are based on truth. So when I had my first child, and they were a very young baby, and I was getting used to being a new mum, a man did come and sit on the wall outside my flat, and he stayed sitting on the wall for a month every single day. So he'd sit there all day, he'd sleep there at night time, and he'd never really leave. And because I was at home alone, feeding the baby pretty much all day, every day, I was right by the window, and he was just a couple of meters down, and I was watching him and kind of very curious, and then became just very interested about what he was doing there, and then began to experience all these kind of conflicting feelings, like I wanted to help him, to befriend him. And then I was scared of him. I felt that he was threatening because he was seeing me come in and out the house with my baby all the time. And I was alone. So yeah, I was having all these feelings, and I thought, oh, this is kind of interesting. And as time went on, and actually long after he'd disappeared, I had some friends who'd also had babies who started to experience very severe postnatal depression and anxiety, which was something that I wasn't overly aware of. Obviously, I'd heard about it, but I don't think throughout the whole pregnancy it was something that anyone had really talked to me about. And that really shocked me, because although I didn't get it myself, I easily could have, like any mother could. And I just felt this really needed more talking about, more raising awareness of. And I thought, what a perfect way to do that, but through this story. And that's how it came to life, really. Yeah,
for sure. I mean, if it's okay to ask this, what is postnatal depression? What
Postnatal depression is something that a lot of mothers can experience after birth, or even during pregnancy. Well, postnatal is often, but there's also perinatal anxiety and mental health issues that can occur. It's often a sort of chemical imbalance, but it can happen to people who haven't had any prior experience with mental health issues. It can happen to people who've had a healthy pregnancy, a healthy birth. It's something possibly hormonal, I mean, I'm not a doctor, I don't know that much about it, but it's very, very common. And there's a wide spectrum, you know, from just feeling it in certain ways, having intrusive thoughts, feeling a bit depressed, feeling isolated, feeling down, being a bit tearful, to the absolute other extreme, which is, you know, complete depression, suicidal thoughts, postnatal psychosis, these kind of things. So it's really dramatic, and it happens to so many women that really it should be something that everybody is aware of.
Yeah, sure. Yeah, because, you know, I think we were talking before we came on, you know, I'm a man, and I can say very confidently and categorically, I will never have this experience of carrying a child in my body for 9 months and then go through what I've been told is the worst possible pain that anyone can go through. But once that little child is out, suddenly it's a flick of a switch, and you go, that was all worth it. And then couples like yourself go, oh, well, that was painful, but they're out. Let's do it again.
Yeah. And some do it again and again and again.
Yeah. I know some people have like 5 or 6 kids, and I'm going, wow. How are you doing that?
So it can't be that bad, right?
Yeah, it can't be that bad, surely. But then again, you know, I think Piers Morgan did it on this morning interview. They put like little sensors on his stomach or something, and they did like a quarter of what the...
It's not the same, okay?
It's not the same, is it? Is that different?
No way.
Yeah, I suppose the only I suppose you can't replicate it, can you? Because you're...
No.
Yeah. So us guys say like, oh, childbirth can't be that bad, mate. We don't know what we're talking about. We don't know what you're talking about.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, is it? I mean, it's not indiscreet or nothing, but is it really just the most painful thing that anyone can go that you've been through physically?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. 100%.
Yes. That's it. But what's that feeling like when you have your child is in the world now? And is it literally like a flick of a switch and you go, it was all worth it?
For me, yes, but not necessarily for everyone. And I think postnatal depression ties really well into that, because I think there's a lot of pressure on women to feel like they ought to feel the way you just described, that, oh, my child is here now, everything's perfect and I'm in love with them and the world is all rosy. And that doesn't always automatically happen. In my experience, that's how I felt. And I feel very lucky for that. But for some women, it takes much longer to, you know, bond with the baby, feel love for the baby, to feel okay after this traumatic event of birth. So, yeah, it's complicated and it's a really individual experience.
Oh, for sure, yeah. And it's always that feeling of like, some people say, oh, I was born to be a mother. And stuff. Was that your case, do you think?
I mean, I always wanted to be a mother, something I always wanted since I was a child. But again, that's a whole roller coaster, because you can say, oh, I always wanted children, but you don't know if you're going to be lucky enough to be able to have children. As soon as you can make the decision to begin your journey, it's a whole roller coaster, because you don't know what's going to happen. And, you know, people lose babies, people lose multiple babies before they have one, if they have one at all. So it can be really really full on, actually. It's not as simple as we are led to believe it is when we are young. And that's why I think this talking about it is really good, because it teaches not only us who it's happened to, but people who it's not happened to, who it will never happen to, and people who are younger and have certain expectations that society has given them.
Yeah, it's very much the case. You know, I'm just reminded of a story. I remember a couple that we used to know. They've since, like, I think they've moved away and stuff, so it's been a while. But I remember them saying when they bought their first child home, and obviously it was like literally very early doors, like 2 or 3 days in, like they put him asleep, and then I'm probably not getting some details right here, but anyway, the room where the child was in was very, very close to where the parents were sleeping. So they're literally just one door down, and from there they could hear the breathing of the child. And then the father woke up in the middle of the night going, hey, babe, wake up. I was like, what? It's like, oh, I don't know if did you hear him breathe for a second? He was fine, by the way. He's all good, but it's like, yeah, I'm pretty sure he's still breathing. Right. yeah, I want to go check. So he went and okay, he's still breathing, Of course, this is like 2, 3 o'clock in the morning, and they're like, okay, yeah, he's fine. And an hour later, they wake up again. I don't hear anything. I'll go check again. Is it really like that? Like,
yes. I think even more so for the mother. You're just that starts the second they're in the world. You are that paranoid and that you want to check all the time. That's something I remember so clearly. Just the constant checking. Suddenly you're in charge of another human life.
Yeah.
That is completely 100% dependent on you. So there is some kind of instinct that kicks in that just has you waking up. You sleep really differently because you're constantly on sort of half awake to listen for every breath, every sound, every cry, every anything. So yeah, it's absolutely a whole lifetime of checking and checking.
Yeah.
I'm worried.
Yeah, I remember some people saying, like after their child was born, and like they're talking to their father-in-law, and they go, "Right, okay, it's all done. I never have to worry about that again." And he goes, "Wait, can I stop you?" Like,
no.
Okay, so can I stop you there? And he's like, "You will never stop worrying about your family.
Never.
You will never stop.
It's a lifetime. That's what I mean. It's a lifetime of worry."
Yeah. And I thought, wow, yeah, obviously I don't have that experience yet, but I'm getting all this information now, so I'm prepared, And of course, there's a moment in the play actually where I think it was about page 10. I think there's a line where he says, "What if he hurts himself? What if he hurts himself?" And it's like, I remember Cuba Gooding Jr. talked about this on the Graham Norton show a few years ago. He talked about it's like he had this child, and he's like, "Yeah, but what if you drop him right now?" And his head was, "Oh my goodness, no!" And it's like a built-in thing, and that's something that the old character goes through as well. It's not just. I think in the play, it's not just what if he hurts himself. It's what if he overheats? What if he chokes on his milk or saliva? What if he? There's so many what ifs that can drive you mad. yeah, and of course it's obviously, we want to say that. Obviously, what are the positive sides of being a mum? Of course, we want to get that in as well. Yeah. So, what are
very many. But that hypervigilance is something that I think we don't experience that much before we have that position of responsibility. It's a real hyper awareness.
Yeah.
Which is it was really. I really remember that.
Yeah, it's a really interesting area, and your play, and the fact you say this doesn't come from personal. Obviously, you say there are some elements of truth in it from your own story as well, but a lot of this is from things that you've heard and not based on yourself. I mean, the depth of detail you've gone into here is amazing, and I love the bit where it's like, and then suddenly we see the characters start to slowly but surely implode as the play goes on, and I think it starts off by saying, I love the on page 4 where you say, "Oh, it's like I'm a milk bar. I'm open all hours."
It can feel like that.
Yeah,
it can feel like that because suddenly you are, to feed a baby, you kind of need to sit there and sit still and not move, and make sure that it's happening, and it's constant. I thought you'd sort of feed the baby, then you'd have a couple of hours of not feeding the baby. No, when the baby's that young, you're feeding them all the time, and it's exhausting.
Yeah.
And you can't do anything. You can't do anything.
Yeah.
Forget it. If you need to go to the toilet, if you need to do it, you can't. You just have to sit there and feed.
Yeah, exactly.
So suddenly feel like, oh, that's all I'm doing now.
Yeah. and it's like, there's another thing in here. It's like we talk about postnatal stuff. They said the 6-week postnatal scan. What's that?
Check. Yeah, it's a check. 6-week postnatal check. So after 6 weeks after having the baby, they do a sort of a check. Your GP does a check where they will go through. They'll check the baby, obviously, check the baby is healthy, and then for the mum, they'll just kind of say, ask it some tick box questions to check. It's sort of to check you physically, but also to check whether you might be having feelings of depression. But it's not very in depth. And I think what I found out from my research was that a lot of women feel unable to really tell the truth in those situations, like the character in the play. You don't want to say I'm not coping in case that results in them taking your baby away or thinking that you're an unfit mother. So a lot of women just end up saying, yes, I'm fine, and gets ticked off, and they don't get checked anymore.
Wow.
And what's crazy is that throughout the pregnancy, as a mother, you have so many people supporting you and checking on you and looking after you. As soon as the baby comes out, you are no longer the priority. And I do think that's an issue because, you know, you're the one responsible for the life of the baby. So you need to be okay. But yeah, at the moment, that's how the system operates.
That's how it works. Yeah, I remember speaking to another guest on who just became a granddad, and I said to him, "What's it like being a granddad now?" And he was like, "Do you know, first and foremost, it brought back all of the memories I had when I had my own children. It all just came flashing back, and of course, his kids are grown, like in their 30s now, I would assume, but you know, they're all grown up." But it was like I went straight back to when I had my own kids again. And then one thing he said, and he said something what you said there as well, which was, I realized that when you have your own kids, you suddenly realize it was never about you in the first place. It was never about you.
Yeah.
At all.
Yeah. Yeah.
And, you know, I sit and think, I'm trying to unpack that now, really, but how is it not about you as the parent anymore?
Well, I think that, you know, it's such a responsibility to care for something that can't do anything, that all the pressure is on you. But I think there is something slightly negative about thinking that way, because you are still a human in the world with an identity and a life,
soul and everything,
a personality and all of that. So you do matter. So although you feel like I don't matter anymore, it's all about the child, there's a period where you have to kind of re-find yourself and remember that you do matter. And actually you matter probably more now, because now you have this thing to care for.
Yeah.
So I think, again, we have to be careful with that and make sure that, you know, we are not foregoing ourselves just because we become parents.
Yeah. Absolutely. You know, and then of course you mentioned there as well, there's a kind of like there's a duality, I think, in this as well, because of the duty of care which the main character has. First of all, she's got this very little child, which is still literally in its infancy, and looking after it. You know, you're the milk bar that's open 24/7. You know, you're trying to, and of course there's another bit as well where you mentioned you go online on Twitter, and there's been a stabbing in a nightclub just up the road, and someone goes on Twitter or a social platform, and whichever one that they used, put a hashtag on there saying, "Oh, welcome to Hackney."
Yeah, and that was true. That was true.
That was true.
Yes, that was entirely true, because the area, it was in Clapton in East London. It was gentrifying a lot during that time in a really big way. You know, every day there'd be something new just popping up. And this was in kind of a local bar that was opening that night, and a kid had been stabbed and they'd gone in there for help. And the bar had then not been able to open that day, and they'd put, you know, the opening's not happening. Some kid's been stabbed and bled all over the floor. Hashtag welcome to Hackney. And it was so alarming to me, you know, like all these things that were going on around me seemed so big and wrong. And actually somebody else I know created an entire devised play around that hashtag welcome to Hackney incident. Wow. Yeah. So I think it sparked a lot of people.
Yeah. And then, of course, I imagine, like, as a new mum, of course, now in these days of social media, I mean, I was born in 1995, so there was no social media at that time. You literally just walked down the street. And
we were free.
We were free. Yeah. We were free of other people's shite opinions.
Yes.
But, you know, and online hate and abuse and, you know, all that shit which you see nowadays. But, you know, we thankfully live in a world, and in 1995 anyway, obviously I don't remember too much, I was a baby, but you know, I would imagine, you know, you just held mum's hand and you just walked down the street and you stayed together, and then you go to town, stay together, get home safe, done, sorted. Whereas now, you know, with shows like Adolescence, you know, Stephen Graham and Jack Thorne and all those guys, you know, with social media and kids as young as 8 or 9 being exposed to, let's just say, all sorts, beginning with P, online. You know, it's a very difficult, and I think it's very interesting now that I would imagine some conversations that came out, don't correct me if I'm wrong here, but some conversations that you had with audience members afterwards, or people that you collaborated with, to say that, it is that moment in particular when he says, "Welcome to Hackney," and people go, "Yeah, but social media." Thinking about all the influence social media has with bringing up children as well.
Yeah.
Was that part of the conversations that you had?
It was actually, and in the context of motherhood, social media is a huge thing for mothers in the sense that they're possibly feeling low and feeling down on themselves, and then they're looking at these mothers who are presenting, on Instagram or whatever, the perfect life or the perfect version of being a mother, which is all not true, but you believe it, and when people are vulnerable and that's what they're doing, they're sitting there feeding their baby, scrolling through these images of perfection and comparing themselves, it's only going to send them into a darker place and make them feel worse. So it's a huge contributor, I think. Although things have changed, I think since I had children, things have become a little bit more positive in that there is a lot of people online and a lot who I met actually, and some who came and did post-show talks for us, who are presenting the reality of motherhood. And I think that's really positive as well, because yes, motherhood can be great, but it can also be really difficult, awful, tiring, all the things. Yeah. So we need to present a balanced view, right? Like with anything.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, was that your main motivation to write this play, to say that it's not all sunshine and rainbows and that it's hard. This is hard work.
Yeah, I guess I wouldn't say it was the main motivation, but in presenting a woman with a mother with postnatal depression, I think it's a way of kind of going, look, this woman loves her baby. She wanted to have the baby. She had the baby, and yet she is affected by this thing that affects so many women. So you're not alone, showing people that they're not alone. And even though I would describe my own experience as pretty positive, I can still relate to many things that were in her experience. I can relate to feeling exhausted, feeling lonely, feeling isolated, feeling bored, feeling, so many things. So like I said, the spectrum is very wide. And even if you're having a great time of being a new mum and you have support around you and you have all the things you need, you're still going to have moments where you feel really low, because it's a really hard job.
Yeah, because I think there's another line in the play where you say, I've been awake for 24 hours now.
Yeah.
24.
Yeah, the sleep deprivation is real.
Is real.
Yeah. It's really real. Yeah.
Yeah, I suppose that's one bit I'm not looking forward to. It's the lack of sleep.
You forget eventually.
Yeah, but then it's the occasion. I suppose naps probably become like a luxury as well. Like when they start.
They are a luxury because you need somebody to look after the child. And I think at the end, when she said, "I need a shower. I need someone to hold the baby while I have a wash. I need a home cooked meal." All these things that we take for granted when we are just in charge of ourselves suddenly become absolute luxuries that you need to rely on someone else for help with.
Yeah,
that's quite eye-opening.
It is. Yeah. And of course, there's the homeless man outside as well, and it's like he's like the fox in a way.
Yeah,
that comes in and lingers. We've had foxes in our garden as well, which they linger and stuff. But personally, because I know some people think foxes are like vermin and like kick them out, but actually, it's just something about foxes I just think is absolutely beautiful. I don't know how you.
Yeah, well, that's why I've called it Fox, actually, because the feelings, I described to you earlier, the feelings that came from having this homeless man constantly outside. Yeah. It was a real juxtaposition of feeling kind of, well, I want to care for him, I want to help him, I want to befriend him, and I'm scared of him, I want to get rid of him, I want him to go away. And I think that's often how I feel about urban foxes. I've got two in my garden right now as we speak. And, part of you thinks, oh, they're lovely, they're sweet, I could take some food out to them. And then the other part of you thinks, oh, they're horrible, they're, might attack me if I go out there, they're leaving germs. It's that double-edged thing.
Yeah, I remember at university in third year we used to have like a family that lived in the other side of the road, and not to be too indiscreet here, but I have heard it is that when foxes like to
it's noisy,
get it on, it's a little noisy, it keeps you
very
awake.
Disturbing sound.
Yes. You think they're murdering each other in the corner, but it's actually it's something very, very different.
Yes.
But you're like, how does that work? And at 2 o'clock in the morning, most days, thank you, Foxes, wherever you are. Yeah, it kept me awake during my university days. Then again, what was sleep at university? But you know, it's an interesting area which, like, you, based on your own experiences of having this man outside, and of course the character which you write does go out and sees him and wants to help him. And there's like the big words that jumped out in this play was, well, phrase actually, was mother's instinct. It's mother's instinct. And what I mean by that is a constant duty of care. And you've got two vulnerable people, one who's homeless outside and much older in life, one's very young, and you want to just, and it's her mother's instinct to go out and say, can I help you? Like, have you had something to eat? Have you had some water? Have you had this? Have you had that? And you're going, yeah. And so you're constantly wanting to help people all the time. And so did you go out and have that experience like the character has in the play?
I have to say that is the exact encounter that I had with him.
With the
word
bananas.
for word what is in the play.
Yeah.
I did everything to do with the man is pretty much exactly as it happened in real life, and everything with the baby is made up.
Yeah.
So yeah, that did happen. But just to go back to something we mentioned earlier, because you just said about the duty of care, you know, as a mother, the mother's instincts have this duty of care for others. And that's the thing I think is lacking. We then lose the duty of care to ourselves. And that's where people fail to ask for help. And that's what the whole play really is about. It's about help. You know, she wants to help the man, she wants to help the baby, but she's unable to ask for help for herself.
Yeah.
And that's the thing that is severely lacking here. And in society, you know, mothers put everybody else first because of this instinct and this duty of care, but they can often neglect themselves. And I think that's something that needs to change or shift.
Yeah. So how can mothers look after themselves better, do you think?
Well, it goes back to that old phrase that it takes a village, because sometimes you can't look after yourself and you need other people to help you.
Yeah. And of course there's some quite funny moments where she looks over that her husband, who's either at work or asleep. You know, he's not there.
Snoring obliviously with his earplugs in. That got a lot of attention, actually, from a lot of women. They were just like, yes, that.
Yeah, that happens. Yeah, I imagine that was quite a popular talking point post-show.
It was, actually.
But so I suppose really the question that popped into my head really might be a bit out there, but, you know, what can, I suppose a message that jumped out at me when I read that was, what more can fathers do? Because I get it, they have to go to work and, you know, make money, pay the bills, etc. I get all that, okay, but, you know, and I think, obviously not being a father myself, but I imagine sometimes they sort of not undervalue, but it's not, they don't think, oh, it can't be that bad, you know. It's like, oh, just like, yeah, it's okay, just go to bed for a couple of hours and sleep it off. It's like, no, I can't. I can't go to bed because what if he or she wakes up? Then I need to be there. Yeah. So what do you think as a result of this play? Do you think fathers? Can do, do you think
I find that a tricky question, because I think it's more of a systemic problem than that. So I'll give you an example. Like, you often find that if a dad is looking after the children, it will be like, oh, the dad's babysitting, or, you know, he's not babysitting, he's caring for his own kids. Or, you know, if the dad does something with the kids, oh, isn't he good? But you never hear, isn't the mother good? Or the mother's babysitting, you know, she's just doing her job. So I think it's the whole way that society looks at mothers and fathers very differently. So I don't know. I mean, I guess it's, again, on an individual basis, depending on the relationship between the people, because everyone has a different story. But for myself personally, I think I craved balance, and I was lucky enough to sort of get that in the most part. But just someone to go, can I, you know, what can I do? Or to just not even ask, actually. I take that back. Not to ask, what can I do? Just to do it.
Yeah.
Just to do it.
I'm
going to do this while you go and have a nap. I'm going to do this. I'm going to cook dinner. Not even I'm going to cook dinner. Here is dinner. Things like that. you know?
Yeah, I've heard some stories that sometimes mums will be away all night with the baby and just be like, it's okay, right? Make sure they're fed, blah, 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 make them back to sleep, blah blah blah, and then the husband's like all night long, and then
Yeah.
wakes up the next morning and goes, oh, do you know, I can't remember a night where I slept so well,
Yeah. Yeah.
and the wife goes, are you taking the piss? Are you?
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
then, oh, I mean,
It's true, but I think, you know, my husband did go to work, but when he came home, that moment of just going, you take them,
Yeah.
take them now, was just great. It was
yeah.
great.
Yeah. So tell me more about that experience. So in the play, the mum goes out with the baby in the sling
Yeah.
and says to this man, basically, are you okay? Can I help you? And she offers him bananas and he just
Yes.
stares at her
Yes.
and he just takes the bananas, peels it, eats it, and that's it. And then
There's nothing.
and then disposes of the banana skins around.
Yeah. Asks if he can asks her name.
Asks
She
him
gives a
for
fake
a
name.
favor.
And then asks for a favor and doesn't say what the favor is.
Yeah.
And that's exactly how it went down. And it was very weird.
Tell me about that experience.
So that experience was very strange because it was the first time I'd sort of gone and actually spoken to him face to face. And obviously I did have the baby with me.
Yeah.
So I felt vulnerable already. And the way that he responded was just very odd, and it didn't go the way that I'd planned it. And then I sort of felt like, well, why should it go the way that I planned it? You know, I'm not him. I don't know his story. Yeah, it was just very strange. And I think it ended up with me feeling even more disturbed and even more of a failure, I guess, which I put into the play. Yeah, failure because he hadn't accepted my help. My help wasn't good enough because I had been watching him and I'd seen lots of other people help him and him accept the help. I'd seen someone bring him a whole new wardrobe, a whole new set of clothes that he changed into. I'd seen people bring him food that they'd cooked or that they'd bought for him. I'd seen people give him, you know, cigarettes and all sorts, but he hadn't accepted my help. And that was very hard for me. And I thought, okay, the mum in the play is in a much more vulnerable position than me. What would this do to her? And it's kind of the beginning of her real spiral downwards.
Yeah. And I think, yeah, there's like you say, it's like I've offered help to someone who can receive it, who can receive help, you know, and someone who's in their adult life, who knows how to accept things, who knows how to peel a banana, because obviously a baby doesn't know how to do that yet. And you're in this position and you refuse help. And I suppose, yeah, that's where, like you say, that's where the
It
spiral.
felt very personal, you know, that's why she says, why not me? You know, it felt like a very personal slight on
Yeah.
me.
Did you, I mean, and he asked you that. That's what the actual guy, he said, can you do me a favor? And you were like, what is it? And you went, oh no, don't worry about it, it's fine.
Yeah, but he didn't even say, don't worry about it. He just didn't say anything. He just kept on staring and didn't say anything. I had to make the decision of when to walk away from it.
How long was that pause?
It felt really long. I don't know, but it felt really long.
Oh my God.
Yeah, and obviously he knew where I lived. It was right outside my front door pretty much. So
Yeah.
I then had to face him every day and, you know, it was just strange.
It's almost like a Waiting for Godot type moment, isn't it? You know, it's the tree in Waiting for God. He was the tree in Waiting for Godot. It's just always there, doesn't say anything, doesn't move.
Yeah.
Occasionally you might give it a bit of water, but then that doesn't do much help because the tree's pretty much dead anyway. And yeah, it's a very odd situation. Nothing's happening, but
Yes.
everything's happening at the same time.
Yes. And particularly for someone in her mental state.
Yeah. I mean, the fact that when I read that bit, I was thinking, okay, she's got the baby in a sling, and she's going out to this
right
guy,
outside the door of her house.
to this guy who she knows nothing about, homeless. And I thought, when she offered it, I thought, oh God, is the play going to have one of those moments where he suddenly jumps up and attacks them or something, or just something really bad's about to happen? But thankfully, it doesn't happen in the play, and it didn't happen in your life either. But so did you ever so you never knew his name? You never. You never knew where he came from or anything?
No. And the thing is, I would watch him talking to lots of different people, like it says in the play, and I
Mm,
could never really hear. But it made me feel more like, why won't you talk to me?
yeah.
You know, because the part of me that wanted to help him and befriend him and chat to him, and especially because, you know, when you are alone, you feel very alone. You feel very isolated, very lonely. As a
Mm,
new parent who is alone in the flat all day, you kind of think, well, I'd quite like to maybe talk to you.
mm.
And the fact he didn't talk to me felt very hard.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Do you think you saw your child in him? Did you see a child like a childishness in there? I don't mean not in childishness. I mean like people like throwing their toys out the pram and going, "Oh, it's not fair," blah blah blah. But like this. Did you see the
The
same
vulnerability, yes.
vulnerability?
Yes, the
Yes.
vulnerability, yes, because ultimately he is someone's child, and I sort of look at everybody like that they're just a child who's got older or bigger.
Yeah.
And so yeah, that I suppose that tied in somehow, even if it was subconsciously,
Yeah.
that as a mother, this was a person there who was not being cared for, and here is my child here being cared for constantly. And that, yeah, that's obviously difficult to witness.
Yeah.
It's difficult enough if you walk past a homeless person, let alone if you have one in your face constantly.
Yeah, and of course there's an interesting parallel there as well. You've got a mum who's so caring for her child, but
Mm,
you've got, and of course this is another line of the play which I really found really quite profound, which was she looks at him and goes, "Where is his mother?
yeah,
Where
yeah,
where is his mother? What's happened?"
yeah. What's
I think
happened here?
that you go on to say that I think it's on page 15. You goes, where is his fucking mother? You know, and you know, you look at this thing and you think, I think it's another line where he says, does his mum know that he's living on the streets? Does he know,
Yeah,
does she know that he's living off
yes,
the kindness of strangers? And
yes. Because when you look at this baby, you think, how could you ever let your child be in that situation,
yeah,
whatever age they are?
yeah,
Whatever age they are, you want your kid to feel like they can come to you for help, no matter
yeah,
how desperate.
yeah. I mean, did
So
you ever,
that was a struggle.
yeah, and of course, on top of all that, it's obviously in the play, like there is no threat there, of course, but of course, when your mind plays tricks on you, especially in isolation as well, I think that's a whole other topic that you bring up as well, is that if you're kept within the same four walls for too long, your
Yeah.
mind, because there's a brilliant line from Finding Nemo when he says, "Fish and stay in a box, kid. It does things to you." And
Well, exactly. Same for mums.
mm,
And actually, funny enough, the other time that I was reminded of how the play felt was during COVID.
oh,
And I was like, oh, it's
definitely, yeah,
this feeling that mums feel, and now everyone's getting to feel it.
yeah,
Ah, okay. Same feeling.
yeah. I mean, yeah, I mean, with that in mind, you know, I mean, I mean, how was lockdown? Were your kids really young during that time?
They were quite young, yeah. They were sort of, I can't remember now, 3 and 5 or something like that. It was okay. You know, I can't
Of course.
complain. Like
Yeah,
I'm sure a lot of people had it worse. We got through it.
yeah, but yeah, it was a weird time, wasn't it? It was a weird time. But
Mm,
yeah, with the sun was out, that's the important thing. But we had some decent weather for a change. That's
we
one
did.
advantage of lockdown,
It
you know,
was.
as well. And of course, this podcast was a result of lockdown as well.
Oh,
Uh,
great.
yeah, yeah, but that's a whole other story. But I suppose, like, and of course, like with that in mind, did you feel? I hope you don't mind me asking this, but did you feel threatened by him in any possible way?
Um, Not, I suppose not directly, but indirectly, yes, because I think you never know what somebody is capable of or what someone's going to do. And I think the home is such a sort of sacred place. And when you are bringing a tiny baby back to that home, you want to feel protected. So in that sense, yes, the unknowing of why he was there and what he was doing, you know, your brain tries to make sense of it, and I couldn't make sense of it. So in that way, I felt threatened. Yeah,
Yeah, and of course, yeah. I mean, what happened to him in the end? He just went outside one day and he wasn't there anymore,
he just wasn't there one day.
and that was it.
Yeah,
And again, it's you can say nothing to somebody, just exist, outside your front door, obviously, and behind the wall, obviously, it's not actually physically on the property as such, but within the vicinity.
Yes.
And you go, this bloke only said one thing to me, and which was, "Can you do me a favor?" And that was it. And you're there going, what favor? What do you want from me? I've just come out here and given you a banana and stuff, and to make sure you're okay.
I'm hoping the favor was write a play about him, which I did.
Well, you managed that. But,
I'll never know.
Was there no kind of and that obviously we said that was only dialogue, but like when you got home, obviously
no acknowledgement, no.
Yeah, no, I was going to say like when you got home at night, but of course you were in the flat, like because the character's in the flat the whole time, But I mean, it shows that, I think it's a big cry for help. The play's like a cry for help, isn't it, from this character? And of course, a lot of mums go, like you say, it's not the same for everybody, but I imagine a lot of mums have this experience. And of course, I also want to mention that when you're at the Park Theatre in Islington, which is a fantastic theatre, by the way, it's an absolutely wonderful space, guys. If you want to see a play there, just go.
Go.
Yeah, there's two parts. There's like the main auditorium, and there's a smaller kind of 50-seat thing.
Yeah, so there's Park 90, a 90-seater, and Park 200.
Yeah, Park 90, Park 200.
Building, and they're both incredible.
Were you in Park 90, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. I saw another guest has been on here, Harriet Madeley. She did a play there talking about her. She made a play about some of the health issues she's been through and everything. She's on here as well, so go check out her chat, guys, and everything.
Great.
And it's a beautifully that was a one-woman show as well, actually. And brilliant show. And you've got that intimacy in that space, so you're connected to that. And one thing in particular I want to ask you about was that you had special performances for parent and babies.
Yeah.
So the audience was entirely made up of the exact people which you were connecting to.
Yes.
How was that?
Oh my God, I'm so proud of that. That's the thing I'm most proud of with this show, because we managed to get in our target audience. We sold out 2 of the baby shows, and just to see new mums out and about at a theatre with their baby, watching a show that is about them, for them, and not like a kids or babies show and they just happen to bring them along. It was so incredible. It was so incredible. And we had 3 amazing post-show talks with, the kind of specialists I never dreamed I would be able to get involved. Psychologists, GPs. We had people from different charities, like the top postnatal health charities. We had Instagram influencers who were big in the game of motherhood. It was great. And the conversation just was fascinating, and I thought it would never end. The theatre had to actually kick us out because there was so much pouring out. Because like I said, it's something that's not often discussed, and women have a lot to say about their experience. Yeah.
Was there a main point to that conversation which hadn't been mentioned before, that obviously it happened in the room, and obviously we're talking now and we go out to the world. So was there anything mentioned in that talk that you think more people should know about? Like, this is an opportunity, I think, to talk about some stuff that was brought up there. What things were really important?
There was really a lot. We'd need a couple of hours to get really into this, but I think one thing that came up for me was there was a lady there. She was a psychologist who actually works with the government, and she said, if I'm going to go back and deliver a message of what needs to change, what would you like me to say? And she opened that out to this group of women.
Wow.
And I think there was things such as, there was a lot of things, but things such as more investment in mental health services.
Of course.
Don't we all need that? There was sort of, I don't know how government can influence this, but like we said before, kind of a different way of looking at dad's care. So, for example, paternity leave is 2 weeks in the UK?
What?
In some countries, it's like months and months.
Yeah.
You need the dad to, if there is a dad, you want them to be there as well, or at least have the right to be there as well.
Yeah.
2 weeks is ridiculous. You've barely even, some women, if they've had a cesarean, they can't even really walk by 2 weeks.
Yeah.
It's the most traumatic thing your body can go through. And physically you're in pieces, never mind that you have this job of looking after a human, feeding them, caring for them 24/7. If there's two of you, you want to have the two people there. So just things like that, changing that law, amongst a whole host of other things, because there was loads. Yeah, the conversation, just everybody in that room had something to say.
Yeah, I'll bet. What were some of the reactions you got from mothers, especially?
Oh, just incredible, really incredible, because they said, thank you, you've written what's in our head. Yeah. Because I actually experienced some time where I thought, I hope this is okay. I hope people will be okay watching this, because it dives pretty deep, and it doesn't hold back. So it does get quite dark, especially towards the end. But people said, so thank you for talking about, thank you was the biggest thing I got. It was thank you for talking about this. Thank you for sharing it. Thank you for putting it out in the open. Thank you for validating our experience. Thank you for making me feel seen. Thank you for making me feel like it's not just me. And that's amazing that you can do that with a piece of theatre.
Oh, huge.
I love that. And if you can also implement some change socially within systems, even better.
Yeah.
We actually had a member of parliament who was going to try and come and see the show. She asked to come and see the show. But because we were first week of December and at kind of weird timings, she didn't make it in the end. But that would have been super.
That would have been very cool. Very cool indeed. Yeah. And of course, it goes to show, and I say it on this channel all the time, theatre, we change the fucking world. We changed and the fact that you've given a voice to, and you've steered into something which is very, very, not only is it very, very real, but it's also, I think, a subject would, like you said, needs more discussion. It needs to be about more, because as a bloke again, reading your play, I thought, bloody hell, I thought.
I love that. I love that response.
Yeah, no, because, and I thought, why, it's true, and I've talked to my mum about this as well, which was like how did you, because like me and my brother were 18 months apart. So there was a time where you had two babies in the house at the same time, at that age. And of course, my father was traveling a lot. And, Did
you go and say thank you to her?
Yeah, I did. I really did. And I asked her, I said, how did you do it? How did you do it? And she went, well, she was very good. She just went, you just take it one day at a time. And, some days are better than others, but, that more than anything, you'll get through it.
Yeah.
And, we're grown up now, me and my brother and everything. And, but I look back and I just think, one thing I always look back, I've seen, I used to work in pubs and stuff. So I've seen when babies in prams, everything's going to kick off because they're hungry or they're tired or something. And they hear this noise and I'm just there like, and I don't know about you, but there's something about hearing a child which isn't yours cry in a public space. It puts me on edge, and I'm like, sometimes some parents are very good. They go up to them and go, "Oh my God, are you okay? Yeah, just feed him. Yeah, I'll feed her." It's like, yeah, okay, yeah, fine. Okay, we've got some bottles. Yeah, I've got some stashed away in this what do you call it? One of those bags that,
like, changing bag, yeah.
Anyway, they've got a bag full of milk that's been prepared and all that stuff, and they're brilliant. Whereas some parents don't give a fuck. They just let this kid.
Well, let me tell you this. Yeah. There's something that puts you on edge far more than hearing someone else's child cry. And that is hearing your own child cry, because it is the most stressful thing ever. So I would imagine that any parent who doesn't respond immediately is because they are absolutely exhausted and that child has been doing that for the whole day.
No, fair enough. But then what are they doing to help that though? Like, put him to bed or buy him something. I don't know. Just like, how do you get through that?
How do you turn it off?
Yeah.
You can't. Sometimes you can't. And that's why, again, it's a really hard job, because sometimes there is no off switch. There's no fix. Yeah. There's no easy fix. If that child wants to cry, that child might be screaming and screaming and screaming for hours. And you offer them food, you do this, you do that, and nothing helps.
Yeah.
It's tough.
Yeah. Cool. Well, that's put me off. No, I'm joking. I'm joking.
Being honest.
Oh no! Please, please. I don't. Honestly, is what it's all about. But I suppose that okay, if there are any mothers or soon-to-be mothers listening to this or watching
Yeah.
this, who are probably just got pregnant, probably past their what's that? Is it the 12-week scan that you go to just to check if everything's?
Yeah.
Is
Yeah.
it, wait, is it 10 weeks or 12 weeks? Which one?
12 weeks.
12 weeks.
Yeah.
Yeah, because you go there, they put the what do you call it? That fluid.
Yeah, like jelly for the
Yeah,
ultrasound.
jelly thing they put on
Yeah.
your stomach, and then they scan you and they go, okay, yep, cool. Do you see the heartbeat? Do you see it?
Yeah.
Makes it look all real now, doesn't it? All that sort of thing. And you go, okay, we're healthy. He or she's on track. You're okay. And of course, it's important to highlight sometimes, and I think in the play as well, because the character actually has a miscarriage at one time as well.
Yes.
And sometimes they go to those things and it's not so good news.
Yeah.
They go, I'm sorry, the pregnancy's failed. There's no heartbeat. I'm really, really sorry. And
Yeah.
I mean, I know there's some women out there who are desperate to be mothers. I can't imagine what that feeling's like.
Yeah.
I think a famous example, of course, is in Marley and Me, where they go to,
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
where Jennifer Aniston and Owen Wilson they have the scene and they go, there's no heartbeat. I'm really sorry. And
Absolutely devastating.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely devastating. And again, something that is so common.
yeah,
And again, something that is not talked about that openly.
yeah. No, I'm sure my mum wouldn't mind me saying this, but she actually had a miscarriage before me, and her theory is that she's quite a spiritual person like me. She says, "I think that was you, as in me, Oliver, going, wait, I'm not sure I'm ready yet. I'll come back later."
Oh, that's sweet.
So that's one theory she thinks she has, but you never know with these things. Actually, no. I'll save that for just a second. Just bear with me. But so yeah, any mothers that are listening to this, they say past the 12-week scan, everything's good,
Yes.
or they could be literally days away from giving birth.
Yeah.
What message do you have for them?
My main message is always trust your instinct.
Mm-hmm.
Because I found that, you can go through pregnancy and think, I've never had a child. I don't know what to do. How will I know what to do? How will I know how to look after this baby? And you just do. You just do. And I found that as my, as time went on with my baby, I would start to really know what each cry meant. I go, oh, that's a hungry cry. That's a tired cry. And you do get to know. And like if my child was ill, I would have quite a clear idea as to whether it was something serious or something non-serious. And your instinct just tells you. So trust it, because I think a lot of people generally can doubt their instincts, but as a mother, it's inbuilt.
Yeah, and
don't always listen to what other people have a lot of opinions. Social media has opinions.
Oh, doesn't it?
People, of different generations have opinions. People around you, other mothers have opinions. Trust your own. You know what you're doing.
Oh, yeah. There you go. There you have it. It's these are all this conversation today. It's all birthed from, if you pardon the expression, from your play, and it shows what art can do and what theatre can do in a way. And let's see how much time we got. Okay, we've got a bit more time. So here's a spiritual theory for you, and I'd love to get your opinion on this.
Go on.
Do you think we choose our parents before we come to Earth?
Wow, I've never actually thought about that. If we do, I chose really well.
Yeah.
Don't know. What do you think?
At first, I remember thinking, because sadly you see reports of people who come from bad childhoods, they have bad homes and stuff like that. And so when that theory was kind of put forward, I just thought, well, first of all, why would they choose those parents if they knew what they were getting into? And I know some kids have gone to foster home after foster home and stuff like that. So it's a big, broad life experience for all of us. But at the same time, I remember seeing that some people are born into odd families. So they come and like break any kind of generational trauma, or they kind of come in to do something a little bit different. That they come in to shake up the snow globe of years of doing things one way, but then they show the rest of the family that's not how we do it. like we can change, and so they do something
Yeah,
a
that's
little.
a nice way to look at it.
Yeah,
Yeah, I mean, there's so many different scenarios,
I
aren't
mean,
there?
there's a
It's
hundred.
impossible.
I know. I mean, that's one theory of hundreds. You know, that's just something I don't really subscribe to, but I find it quite interesting.
Yeah, it's an interesting thought for sure.
Yeah, and I feel like obviously some people probably listen to this and go, "Well, I had a bad relationship with my dad. I had a bad relationship with my
Yeah,
mum.
yeah.
Why the hell would I choose them?" It's like, look, I'm not saying that's it. It's just an interesting theory that I have that maybe, well, not I have. That's been suggested that what if you came in to stop what was going on, to
Hmm.
stop the way that your parents were spoken to, your grandparents were spoken to, great grandparents, your great great grandparents,
Hmm.
breaking
Hmm.
that and actually seeing you for the person that you actually are, rather than just being like another cog in a massive system, which is
Mm-mm.
you get up, you go to work, you come home, you pay your bills, you die. It's like,
Yeah, I mean, if someone has the power to do that within, a bad framework, then that's wonderful, right? Because they maybe change it for the generations ahead of them.
precisely that. Yeah. Who knows? Who knows? Who knows? It's one of many hundreds of thousands of theories, but I think it's quite an interesting one. But yeah, and also there's comedy in this play as well. I just want to quickly mention the questionnaire actually towards the end. You know, obviously people can interpret it one of two ways. It could be a comedy like, have you felt happy in the last 24 hours? No. Have you felt good in the last 24 hours? No. Have you thought about all these stuff?
Yeah,
But, you know, some people can tell that as comedy, and I'm not making fun of the character here by any means at all, because it's towards the
yeah,
end and it's in a very dark,
yeah.
very dark place at this point. But it's a bit of, was that intended to be kind of dark humor, or is she really going?
No, no. So it's very funny to me that you pick that part actually, because I think at the beginning there's intentionally a lot of comedy there, when she
Yeah.
talks about the other parent and baby groups and things like that. But
Oh,
at
yeah.
that point, that is a real questionnaire that was created in 1980 to determine whether women had postnatal depression or not. It's called the Edinburgh Scale.
Hmm.
And they would ask those exact 10 questions
Hmm.
to determine the woman's mental state. In the play, it was definitely not a funny moment. But if you sort of reflect on it without, outside of the play, they are almost laughable questions, especially
Yeah.
the first few.
Yeah. Yeah.
Have you looked forward with enjoyment to things as much as you ever did? No. Have you been able to laugh and see the funny side of things as much as you ever did? No. And then it gets increasingly, well, have you felt sad or miserable? Have you felt anxious or worried? And have you been crying? Have you been able to sleep? Have you had suicidal thoughts? And kind of gets worse and worse as you go
Yeah.
along. But yeah, I wouldn't say it's the most effective way of being able to assess.
Yeah. It's an odd questionnaire, but yeah, it gets to where you need to be, And
Yeah.
yeah, and just to be clear, like I'm not laughing at the character at that point at all.
No, I
But
know. They are
but
funny questions at the beginning.
yeah, but it does ask these questions, yeah, and also I find it funny that I'm sure any kind of new mum could relate to those bits where she goes to the new mummy classes, and
Yeah.
I read when I read your play and I asked my mum, said, "Did you go to like some of these things?" And she went, "Yeah, I
Yeah.
went to a few of those. Yes. What did you think?" I hated them. I thought they were awful because because there was one example where I think, the character says, "Oh, so what's happened this week? Oh, well, I took the bins out." Like taking the bins out has become a
Yeah.
activity for the day, an achievement
Yeah.
for the day.
That's right.
And I remember saying, I think my mum had this experience where she went along and she's talking about this, and one lady just goes, "Oh, I've made these homemade yogurts for my child, full of amino acids, no E numbers, everything's so super healthy, and basically what I'm trying to say is I'm the best mum in the world and you're a pile
Yeah.
of shit." And
Yeah.
you're trying to put another mum down, and it's like
Yes. Yeah.
that's not right.
No, no. And that was like in the baby group in the play. The other woman says she plumbed in her new sink.
Yeah,
She learned
via
how to plumb in her
YouTube.
sink on YouTube, and it's like, what am I doing here? But on the other side, like there is that, like with the social media image of perfection, there is that. But
Yeah,
on the flip side, those baby groups can be a lifeline.
definitely.
you know, a way of going out and meeting other mums and other people in your position are so vital. So I would encourage mums to go out and do that. And maybe if you're at one where you feel uncomfortable, it's not the right one. Go to a different one.
Yeah, there's plenty out there. Plenty out there. You know?
Find your people.
Yeah.
And then, you know, it's so wonderful when that happens, when you find people who, you know, are similar to you and in having the same experience, and you have people to share it with.
Yeah.
It's just so valuable. That came out a lot in the post-show talks.
Yeah, and it's that community building as well, which is what you did in the theatre as well. So, you know, and you never know. I'm pretty sure that there's some mums who met at a new babies class, and then they've really got like hit it off, and they've become really good friends. Next, you know, their kids go to the same school.
Yeah.
And then they go to the same secondary school, and then they all just build this amazing life together, because you just never know who you're going to meet at these things.
No, I mean, I have a friend from the baby class, and actually our kids have nothing to do with each other. We live in different areas. Our kids probably last met when they were babies, but we are close friends. Yeah. So, you know, that's a lovely thing that I got from that, is that I have a friend who, you know, nothing to do with our children, but we are still friends.
Yeah, absolutely. You know, and you just never know what's going to happen, which is great. Let's see how much time we got. Oh, wow, we've run out of time really quickly today. So it's like we've got a little bit of time left for last questions. So I've got just 3 quick questions left for you, Kate.
Yeah.
So I suppose, first of all, obviously you being the creator of this play and this universe of Fox, you know, which is yours. Actually, just very quickly, we'll just add a very quick one in here as well. I know you said before we started that you think your time at the park was the last time that you think this play is going to be put on, but is there any, I want to see you do this play. Is there any way, I want to see you perform again. Is there any way you can go back to the park or get it up in another London theatre?
You've obviously never tried to get a play on at a London theatre.
No, I haven't yet. That's on my to-do list.
Good luck. Good luck.
Thank you.
It's really, really hard. It's really, really hard. You know, like I said, this play was at the Edinburgh Fringe in 2019. Mm-hmm. Then we had a successful Arts Council application for a UK tour in 2023.
Nice.
And then we had an unsuccessful application last year for the park, and then straight afterwards a successful one. So it was a really long journey. I always wanted it to be in London. I really always wanted it to be at the park. Yeah. But, you know, there was COVID in between, so I'll say that. But 7 years was the journey from beginning to get it to the park. So, although I'd love to, I'd do it again in a heartbeat, and I'd take it to any theatre, really. It takes a lot more than that.
Oh, yeah, I'm sure. You know, I'm you know, you're right.
And it's expensive. And this is a one-person show that is ready to go, that I have all the sets, I have everything, you know, it's ready like that, yet it costs a fortune. Yeah,
I know. And something needs to be done about that. Make the arts more accessible. Put more money into the arts.
Yes, because then you think about all the amazing, incredible, vital, valuable work that we will never see because they can't get the money to put it on anywhere, and that is heartbreaking. Yeah,
we need more things like that. And people say, well, the Fringe is good for that, but have you seen how expensive the Fringe is now? People can't even get their work on the Fringe.
On there as well.
Yeah.
Really tough. And I wish it wasn't.
Yeah. Well, anyway, despite that being said, if there is an opportunity for you to get this play back on, please do let me know as soon as possible.
Of course I will. I'm gutted that you missed it.
Yeah, no, unfortunately I couldn't. I was just so busy at the time. I did try and look up tickets, but life just got in the way.
I know. And November, December is like a busy time.
It's pretty busy time for us all. Yeah. What are my other questions? Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Well, I'll have to do this quickly. I know we're really short on time. So first of all, you being the writer of this play, being this universe, which I was saying before, what happens next?
Okay. So I have another project in mind.
Yeah.
Which I'm very excited about. Mm-hmm. I don't think it will be something that I sit down and write. Like I said to you before, that's not really my ideal way of working. My ideal way is to get in a room with other actors and to create something. Mm-hmm. And that's the way I would like to create this new piece. So I'm a fairly slow worker, but I'm hoping that within the next couple of months, I will be able to do that and get in a room with the kind of ideas that I already have and start to work towards making something, maybe get it on at a scratch night, things like that, try it out and take it from there.
Yeah. Well,
and it's not a one-woman show this time, because that was very lonely.
Yeah. The joys of being the only person on stage, yeah, but it's, I'm sure it's brilliant. Anyway, no. But what I meant was like, because this character, she leaves us on one line, which is, "I need help."
Ah, you mean what's next for the character?
Yeah. What do you think happens next?
Although the ending, like I said, gets very dark, what I really wanted to happen was that there would be hope at the end. I think that's really important. And the fact that she is able at the very end to recognize that she needs help and ask for it, for me, is kind of the shining beacon of light that there is a happy ending in sight. So in my mind, this character does manage to ask for help, receives the help, and goes on to be extremely happy. And that's fortunately the experience of the real people who I sort of based this on. And they came out the other side very, very well. And this play, means a lot to them because it's reflective of their actual real life journey. But there is always hope.
There always. Yeah. And I suppose a lot of people owe you a lot of thanks for this. So like you said earlier, you've made us feel like we're not alone. And the thing, when you get a response like that from a play which you've written as well and you've performed as well, I mean, if that doesn't set your soul on fire, I don't know what does.
It did. I'll be honest, it really did.
Yeah, so again, Katie, congratulations on that. And please do, I know you said it's tough, but if you can, please bring it back, because I'd love to see it.
I'd love to bring it back. Let's see what happens.
Never say never. I've just got two very quick questions left for you today.
Yeah.
And so the last two questions for every guest. So first of all, what would you say was a bit of advice you wish you heard when you were starting out?
As an actor?
Yeah.
Two things. Be yourself and make your own work.
Makes it easier. And it keeps you busy as well, more than anything. You can't sit by the phone or sit by the computer waiting for that phone call or that email to come through, and you think, there's my agent. My life and career is made. For some people, lucky bastards, that does happen too. But
most people it doesn't. So
which is and it's a journey as well. And I'm writing my own stuff as well. I've got this podcast which has kept me really busy, which is great. Speak to amazing people like yourself and everything. To stay in touch in the business in one way or another. You just never leave it to me. So don't get me wrong, acting is very much still a priority, but it's just but it's there when I need it. It's there when I need it more than anything. It's never going to go away, and I thank you for
never going to go away. And I think that's a really important thing to remember, because particularly when I became a mother, I thought, oh no, is this the end of it? It's like, no, you are an actor, and that's going to be in you forever. It never goes away.
Indeed, and amen to that, man. And finally today, what would you say has been an experience or experiences you've had in your career up to now that you'll never ever forget?
Fox at the Park is definitely up there as a number one, for all the reasons that we've talked about. And the fact that, it was so hard to make it happen, and I did, just feels like, yes, that's an achievement. And I think the other would have to be the work that I did with the Factory Theatre Company with Tim Carroll directing, because I learned so much. And, you asked me about university and drama school. It was things I did after that. It was working with Philippe Gaulier, who sadly has passed away a couple of days ago, and with Tim Carroll, that really made me see, who I am as an actor and who I could be, and sort of what I wanted to be. So the work I did with those two people really was my biggest inspiration and some of my proudest work.
Yeah, for sure. Yeah. Brilliant. That's great. Katie, I know we're out of time. I know you've got to shoot off to back to life now and everything, but thank you so much for today and being so open and so generous with your stories and with your experiences and everything in between. And again, congrats on everything that you've done, and congrats on the success of Fox and everything. I look forward to seeing it. Of course, it's going to happen. We'll put it out to the universe now. But thank you for your time today. And everything.
Oh, thank you. Thank you so much for having me.
Oh, no, the pleasure's all mine. Thank you. I've still got so many more things in my head, but we can reconvene on this conversation at another point, which I think would be really cool. So yeah, if you just thank you so much for today. It's been a real joy. So if you just hang on, I'll finish the recording. We'll have a tiny debrief.
No worries.
Then we can shoot back to life, do what you got to do. So, but in the meantime, guys, thank you for watching. Thank you for listening. This has been the Uncensored Critic podcast. I'll be back very, very soon. And yeah, Katie, thank you so much.
Thank you.